Крис Ховард. Встречайте бурную аплодисментами. Громче, 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 громче. Он сказал, не выйдет, пока не будет овации. Сейчас я постараюсь блеснуть всем своим словарным запасом английского языка. Крис, просили, передайте это, пожалуйста, за океан от нас, как бы, в головной офис. Happy birthday! Настоящий иммигрант, все как надо, все чеканно, только гораздо лучше. Друзья, ну а теперь я передаю слово Крису.
Thank you. Добрый вечер. Уважаемые коллеги, дорогие друзья, я рад видеть вас в этот вечер. Возможно, вы думаете, что Крис будет говорить всю речь по-русски? Это случится в один день, но не сегодня. By the way, now that I know Russian, I can get Russian geek comics, Russian jokes. This is funny now. Okay, 20 years ago I had an idea to start a company that was focused on technical software development. So in February of 1997, Softeq was born. That may have also been the last year I wore a shirt without the Softeq logo on it. At the time it was just me. I always referred to Softeq as we and our, with the dream that someday it would be more than just me. So it's super cool to look around and see so many talented people with me today. Thank you. This is me, actually, in October of 1997, Houston Chronicle article. I was interviewed by the Houston Chronicle and even wrote a few magazine articles about Java, but I think it was another 15 years before we delivered a project actually written in Java. We were quite ahead of the curve even back then. Okay, so this is our first project, this compact, for an innovative product called the PC Theater. Actually, it was called the PC Theater 9000. It combined a PC with a TV and a DVD player, which was new back then. All that running like, I don't know, 200 megahertz or something like that. It used a wireless remote and keyboard. In 1999, we were developing software for perceptive biosystems. This was a mass spectrometer, so it was pretty cool, pretty technical. And then in 2001, we were responsible for all of compact computers, printers and scanners and cameras, music players. In 2003, we were working with Hewlett-Packard. Softeq was ensuring the sustainability of the services provided by the IPAC Developer Program. And this is really the start of our mobile experience. Basically, we've been doing mobile since before it was cool to do mobile. 2005, this is when we developed Duratec, still a product and a company that we have today. It's a partnership with Disney. It's a rugged handheld designed for assisted listening, does captioning. It's for the deaf and the blind. It's actually installed in approximately 30 parks all across the US now. And we're still developing software for it. It's over on Android now. So that's been a very long project with us for Disney. We're which, as you probably know, SanDisk was a big customer of ours. We were developing, we had a 100+ dedicated team for SanDisk at one point, creating advanced flash firmware, hardware, visualization tools, testing, and diagnostic utilities. And voila, here we are. Softeq was born. This was the original team. This was August 8, 2008. It was after dinner that we had there celebrating the start of the company. Which means that I sometimes dress like this now. But more often than not, I look like this. Next. There you go. Especially when I'm coming from the US to Minsk, right? So in 2009 is when we launched Z Games. Today, Z Games explores the application of VR, AR, and mixed reality in video games. And the cool part is now, even though we started it as a game company, it's being pulled more and more into enterprise software with our VR and AR experience. 2011 is Nvidia. We still operate a dedicated development team for Nvidia. We started out just doing Bluetooth driver development, but now we're doing a number of projects with them. Most importantly, the Tegra camera application that's bundled on their Tegra notebooks. We had a Nike in 2013, which has been was the start of our proof of concept work. We did a lot of sports type applications. We were one of the first developers to use the high-speed camera settings on Windows Phone and Microsoft. Actually, and that was kind of the lead-in later for working with Microsoft. In 2014, we spun off the Flash firmware team and then sold it to SK Hynix. That's actually grown to 150 people now. 2015, we're working with Intel. I think we've done, 20 or 30 projects with them now. That's a really big account for us, and we're hoping to grow it even more. And then we get up till today. So, what are we doing? Where are we going? We're developing innovative projects across IoT, wearables, machine learning. So we're growing. You can see here our chart. We expect by the end of 2017, we'll be up to 250 people. It's our growth over the past few years. We're now on a steady 25% growth rate, and we expect to add those 50 people, most of them in production. The trend would mean we'd have about 500 people within the next 5 years, but most of the time this stuff is not linear. It's more logarithmic, so we expect we'd probably reach that sooner. By the way, I have something here. We added our 200th employee not too long ago. Is Marta Putiskaya here? Marta's our 200th employee. So there's no shortage of demand for software and firmware, and we're uniquely positioned to help companies realize software and hardware products, especially those involving hardware. Hardware companies are realizing that they need to be software companies, and they need our help to do that. So here are where we see our major growth areas are IoT and wearables, AI and machine learning, robotics, drones, AR and VR. Some of these we have a lot of experience in. Of course, we love IoT projects because they require hardware, firmware, mobile, cross-device, and back-end, so it hits all of our departments. There aren't many companies out there with the end-to-end capabilities that we have for IoT. Some of these we don't have a lot of experience in, so how do you solve that classic what came first, the chicken or the egg problem? So we've done it before, and we'll do it again. With our strategy of standing on the shoulders of giants, partnering with bigger companies who are active in that space, as well as new startups. For example, when we started with SanDisk, we weren't flash firmware experts. There were no flash firmware developers anywhere in Minsk. We had to create that. So we started with smaller projects, utilities, developer tools, and we did such a great job on these that they eventually asked us to help them with firmware development. And when we started out by doing code reviews, unit tests, etc., not necessarily the most interesting stuff, but we were building to something, and eventually we gained their trust to be responsible for key knowledge centers and lead our own products and projects. For machine learning, our partners such as Intel and Nvidia are both very active in those spaces, and we're working to get inside those groups. We're leveraging our reputation with them to get those introductions. Our initial projects there may not exactly be what we want, but we will gain experience and position ourselves for the larger opportunities. Meanwhile, with startups, the story is a little different. Our value is adding a mature development team that's experienced in delivering hardware and software, and the project tends to be leading edge, so no one has a lot of relevant experience anyway. These are learning opportunities for us, and we'll be talking about our startup strategy a little bit later. First, let's spend a few minutes about the departments and teams that support us. Our administration team doesn't get much credit, so I want to start with them. We had several major office moves last year, and that's a lot of work. I expect to continue to make that a problem for them, but thank you for that effort. So from coffee to travel planning to making sure our paychecks arrive on time, we count on them for many things that directly affect each one of us. So in between all your requests, don't forget to thank them once in a while. So Arena and team, thank you. Next is our IT department. Without workstations and servers and internet, I think we're all pretty lost. I'm happy to say that we have the best IT department the company has ever had in Minsk. The number of help desk tickets, as you can see, per month are quite large, but our user rating is 4.9 out of 5. Some cool stuff lately include a 3-fold increase in internet speed. That's pretty cool. 2.5 increase in server storage and CPUs and RAM, and a new Wi-Fi network, which we really needed. We continue to invest in our infrastructure, and the team has a list of enhancements that we'll be working on this year. So Dima and team, thank you. Our HR department has struggled in the past year, but we now have 5 recruiters on staff, an increase from just 2 in January. Our growth goals won't be met if we can't find and hire talent. So we've increased our recruiting capacity. Meanwhile, they will be listening to employees, encouraging professional development, planning events, keeping everyone informed, and organizing our charity drives. In general, helping us to preserve our open and constructive atmosphere. Plus, reminding us that sometimes we have to have fun. So, HR team, thank you. So how are we going to manage our growth? We now have a first-class marketing team with 110 to 120 leads generated every month. This was initially started by Alex Kovalenko and Elena, now being headed by Elena. And that's something we built in the last 4 years, and it's paid off. Sky Futures, Wags, GJ Gardner, Uport, Lucky Swipe, Charge, and Verizon are all recent customers that were first caught by our marketing efforts. Every month, we're catching more big names. You see some of the plans for this year. We're launching a new website, and increasing our lead generation. So Elena and team, thank you. This is not our Softeq 3.0 website. This is actually our very first web page, unfortunately. And here are just some of those companies I was talking about. It's quite an impressive logo wall. So our sales team, we now have 6 in sales with plans to increase another 2 this year. Our Softeq Sales School is one of our secret weapons for training and mentoring new members of the team. Key results in 2016 include 75 new projects, 28% of opportunities won, which by the way is a really good number, and 50% of company revenue. We've been creating and turning our FX process for several years now and continue to improve it further. It's unique, very efficient, and helps to win more while spending less. This year, we started our efforts on growing a local presence to obtain more Texas-based clients, and have succeeded in that. Now we want to increase our local U.S. presence by a combination of having more permanent guys there and by shifting salespeople. We've been concentrating mostly on the U.S. market, but we also see opportunities in the EU. And our goal is to grow the clientele there and eventually, perhaps in mid-2018, even have a local sales office there. Alex, Ben, and team, thank you. Last year, we officially formed our account management team. This was an extension of my own networking efforts combined with the need to engage with our customers more closely and maintain a long-term relationship by understanding their needs and educating them about our capabilities. It's been very successful for us and is responsible for the other half of our sales. We plan on growing the team and significantly increasing our managed revenue in 2017. Sergey, Artem, and team, thank you. Our newest department is strategic pre-sales, headed by Alex Kovalenko. The goal of the department is to help us win big and strategic projects. This means a deep dive into understanding client needs, elaborating solutions, accumulating expertise and knowledge, connecting sales, marketing, production, and helping the sales and account management team succeed. For example, the type of work that helped us win G.J. Gardner. So Alex and team, thank you. Okay, with all that business development and sales going on, we need somebody to actually get stuff done, so here we are with production. Our production team is up to 160 now, with 11 dev units. The team has doubled within the past 2 years, and we've had some growing pains, but project development has now become reproducible and forecastable, and problem projects have significantly decreased. We've established efficient QA and cross-device departments. There's been a lot of work under the hood. I'm really impressed by what I've been seeing as far as our processes, and many big companies have increased work with us dramatically. Delivering projects that meet the SOW on time and on budget is a key to keeping those types of customers. When you play with the big boys, you need to be ready to step to the plate. So, this year, we will continue to increase our team experience, our production maturity, our R&D, and our quality of service, along with establishing Softeq University for internal education. Zen and team, and all of you in production, thank you. Besides our pre-sales, sales, and account management teams, we have been working on a 4th channel for leads and opportunities based on our hometown advantage. It's not just because it is the location of our home office. Texas ranks as number 2, back up for a second. Texas ranks as number 2 in Fortune 500 companies and number 1 for top states for business. And Houston was recently ranked as the 2nd fastest growing economy in the US. There's a lot of opportunity there, and we're in the middle of it. Besides Houston, we've targeted Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio, and have been partnering with the top technology co-working spaces there to find technology executives, established companies, as well as aspiring entrepreneurs and investor-seeking partners. So, this year, I'm focused on establishing our own Softeq syndicate, and an investment strategy for combining local investors in Texas with startups seeking funding. The goal is to secure funding for startups that we can help, as well as equity in those businesses. We've been doing some of this already, but less formally. For example, we own stock in several of the companies that we're working on now, such as Blink Effects, Brandleap, Wags, and U-Control. Many of you have asked if we will ever develop our own products, but the reality is we're already doing it, and I expect that we're going to be doing more of it. Okay, that's it. I know it was a bit long, but thanks for paying attention. Now, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I have one written question. I think I answered it already, but does the company have any interest to create a product based on an employee's idea? The equity of the product will be shared between the employee and the company or become open source. For example, develop an eco-friendly app, initially non-commercial, that would allow getting rid of unused things without hurting the environment. I think we're always open to ideas. The challenge is that the idea, while difficult, isn't the hardest part, right? I mean, once you have the idea, you have to figure out how you're going to write it, you have to invest it, you have to put money into it, you have to market it. So it's quite an involved and expensive process. I mean, I would encourage anybody that they have ideas, I'm happy to hear them. I'm not going to say we would never do that. We have done some of those in, for example, our Z Games team. So I would say generally I'm open, but just keep in mind that in most cases we wouldn't be. Okay. Any other questions? All right. All right, well, thank you. Благодарю вас за внимание. За внимание. Желаю вам замечательного вечера. I butchered that a little bit, but thank you.